Welcome to video 8.2. You should have completed your first video about learn how to divide shapes into spaces. And today we're going to use what we learned to create half of this animal into a geometric animal, like it's just built out of shapes. So I'm going to show you one with a sideways view, and I'm going to show you another one with a half of a face done. So half of the face will be geometric, the other half will be like a the normal cat. Let's start with this one. Now, the whole purpose of learning to do your shapes so that you can take these spaces and keep them going the same direction. We're going to want to keep a lot of these lines like this, okay, but yet still divide this into different shapes. So I'm going to give you an example. We're going to start with the easiest, okay, and so we'll start by saying we're going to divide them about right here, okay. So that means this area is going to be about where we stop. Now some of these can come up because we don't want it to be completely flat, and I'll show you about that in a minute. So let's just start back in here. So you're going to move away from where you're going to start, where we're going to build it out, okay. So we'll start right here, and you see this shape right here. I'm going to take this in, and what I'm going to do is cut it in half. See how I cut that in half? So now it's going to be like a triangle. So now we have a triangle. Now I'm going to take this one, and we'll bring that all the way out here. So you can take a shape that you have and cut it in half, and that's usually going to form a triangle. Okay, I've cut it from corner to corner long ways. Now just to show you on this one though, okay, so I cut one in half. That's the first thing you could do. Here I'm going to cut one. You can also cut it like this if you would like to. So here's my shape, and I'm going to cut it in half this way. So it made two shapes now. Okay, so you can do that. Now this is a little bit small here, so you might want to do something different, I don't know. So you can cut them in half, but what you can also do is you can cut one of them in half, like this is the other half, and I can use half of this shape as well. And now I have one large triangle, so you can do that as well. So you can cut them in half, or you can cut them in half and join it to the half of another shape. Whichever way you want to do it, doesn't matter. And then I could have another shape here. So I have a couple of shapes now. Let's see what I can do here. I'm going to take this one, because see there's a line here like that. There goes my line. I'm going to go and go all the way up here. I'm going to do that. So now, see, I have one shape here, and then I have another one. So I use this shape in half of another shape. So let me erase this. Okay, so there's my other shape. Now, I lost this line, so you want to be careful about losing your lines that go all the way up your animal. Okay, you want to be careful. You don't want to lose those completely. See, I lost one here, and I lost one here. You can't lose too many of those lines. So since I lost one here, I want to make sure I keep this one. Okay, so I'm going to divide this one in half here. So I'll keep that, and I'll divide this piece like that. So now I have another triangle over here, but I still have my line. Okay, now I have another one here. Made a different shape. I'll cut that one in half. So I have a triangle right here. There. There's another one. Now, there's too many. I don't want all three of these to be exactly the same. So I'm going to cut this one in half right here. And then instead of drawing this line here, see there's a line right there, I'm going to skip over here and make a shape here. So now I have a triangle. And you just take this, I'm going to keep that little triangle up there, I like it. You just take this a little bit at a time. See, I have so many triangles here, these small ones. If I did this, I'm going to have another one. So I kind of want to switch it up a little bit. So I'll come out here, and I'll take up and have a big one just to give it a little bit of difference. There's me another one. I don't have a shape here. Let me get a shape here. See how I took in 2 of them? And here's another one. Here I got a parallelogram. Look at that. Made a parallelogram out of that one. So here's a triangle. Now I'm going to make another little triangle here because I want it to stick out a little bit. Now I can make this a square. Let's see how that looks. That looks okay. We'll leave it. Then I can make, see, I'm gonna cut this one in half this way. See, I cut this shape in half. Now let's see, I'm gonna make a small triangle here. And I'll cut that and make a little triangle there. I'll even bring this up. So now I see how it's not just a circle, just a straight line here, I kind of changed it up. Now I got this one big shape. This looks a little bit odd with all the other shapes. So I'm going to separate it. And so I'm just going to draw a line here. Separate them. And that looks a little bit better. Okay, so all these rectangle shapes, I'm just cutting them in half, and you can cut them in half again because the legs are small, so I can have some smaller shapes here. So I'm just doing stuff like this. Cut it in half again. Here's one of my other shapes. His legs continuing. Down again. Boop. I can divide that in half so they can get smaller and smaller as they go. Now I'm not going to finish his legs down here. So we can do his tail too. It's made up of a bunch of rectangles like that. So we can do the same thing if we wanted to. We can divide these up like that. Or we can, instead of 2 of these, I can take it all the way over and have 2 triangles. Same thing again over here. Take it over and make 2 triangles with it. Now if I wanted to make that look a little bit different, so it goes on like that, I could do that and then make a large piece like this. Divide that up. See, you can switch it up a little bit. So you can have any size pieces, but generally as a rule, as it gets smaller, the pieces are going to get smaller. See, these pieces here, I try to keep them a little bigger than the pieces on the legs and the tail because those are smaller. Okay, so there's a few of these places that I kind of fixed up a little bit. You might notice that it changed. And I wanted to keep, see how the lines that we had originally are still there? So look at your animal. See how that one's gone, but that's okay. And that one's gone. Now I could add these back in if I wanted to. See? That looks pretty good. This one also, if I wanted to put that back, I could put it there. These lines here, I could put another one here and just make a smaller triangle. So I can make sure that I have all my original lines almost, so it still keeps that same direction, it still keeps the same shape as it had when I just had the contour lines on it. That's why we put contour lines on here, so it would help us keep the same shape. So again, we're just doing the basic shapes at this point, and the basic shapes are the stuff we did here, like this, where you just divided the shapes into like one area. Now this one, where the shape looks like it has dimension, or this one, okay, where it looks like it has dimension in a surface. These are all more advanced things that you can do with the shapes on here, and I'm fixed to show you what that looks like. Okay, so there are all different ways you can do this, okay? This one, see if I can get to focus. I smudged it a little bit with my finger accidentally. Okay, so these I did like these right here, Okay, they have the top on them. So I took each of the shapes and I made a top on it. It's a little glary. Oh, that's better. So I took those and I made a top on them. But that's pretty complicated. You can see it looks kind of neat, but it's very complicated. Now on this other part here, what I did was we did something a little easier, where I just divided it into a couple of 4 sides like this, and then one side was dark and 2 sides were less. So if you look right through here, you can see that that's what I did there. See? It's the same thing, they're just missing the top on it. They don't have a top. And I kind of like that a little better because it doesn't look quite as busy. Alright, and that was all right in here. Now down here on his leg, let's look at this part. This is the easiest one, where you just divided it into one. Put one line, divide it into 2 sections. So let's look at that. You can tell I took all of those shapes, same, and I just divided them and colored the section. And I just have to make sure that I don't really put a dark section next to another dark section. See, it's a dark and a light, then a dark and a light. And I alternated these so they didn't touch 2 dark sections touching. Like I wouldn't want to do this one here because that's right next to that one. And then I wouldn't want to do this one because then you're going to have one big dark section. It looks kind of funny. Okay? And the alternative, I don't remember if you remembered the first video at the beginning, I said you could just do some lines through there instead of shading it like this. You can just do some lines. And that's what I did right through here and on the tail up here. And so you can look at that and see that I just did the lines. And personally, I kind of like that one a lot. So if you would like to do it that way, you can do it that way as well. Just take one of your shapes after we've divided them and cut it in half and do some lines on it. So whichever one of these you want to do is fine with me. And the last thing that you're going to do after you have finished your geometric shapes, you're going to come over here wherever this stops, and you're going to put a bunch of triangles. Put a bunch of triangle shapes. Some of them are big. Make sure they face different directions. I'm going to put a big one right here. It's okay if it kind of goes on your animal some. But we want to make sure some of them, it looks like a pizza crust kind of, and that they're kind of pointing. There it goes. Now it's focused in. Kind of pointing at here because it's breaking, so they're kind of going, you know, away like that. Put some different size pieces. Put a few really tiny ones here. They don't all have to be triangle. Put a couple of square ones in here. Okay, so it just kind of looks like he's breaking out. Alright, if you did these, however you did these, go ahead and make these kind of the same way. So if you did the lines on those, you come in and do it like that so that they match with the rest of your object. Okay, now if you don't want to do any shading on any of these and you just want to leave them blank and leave these blank, you can do that too. That's up to you. Now the rest of your animal, we're going to draw it however it's supposed to be. So I'll go ahead and finish my cat real quick. Okay, so there is the rest of my cat. I went ahead and drew him in, erased all the contour lines inside. And you can decorate him, decorate your animal if he has feathers or if he has fur, whatever you want to do. You can color him in if you want to. Okay, so let's look at the same principle, but with the tiger's head. Okay, or the cat's head. Now I'm gonna have half of it. Okay, this has a pretty good line all the way down the middle. Half of this is gonna be my shapes, and the other half is gonna look like a regular cat. You could start back here if you want to. I'm just gonna start here right now. So there's my first shape. Let's see, I'm gonna take in a couple of these. Here's my next one. A small one. Big triangle right here. I want to. I'll make a little one. Let's see. Take that one. eye. Now his eye's rounded, but I don't want a round eye. So we have to see how it fits in here. So there's my eye. Just like that. There's another shape. I can make a big triangle there. See, I took in 2 of them. I'm going to finish this up real quick and then we'll look at it. Okay, so I finished my cat. Here's his eye. Now if you notice, some of it looks a little odd. It's the places that have the large shapes, right? These right here, these places right here, kind of look a little odd. So what I'm going to do is I'll divide it into a few more shapes. And look, that gave me this line back, see? And let's see, I'll divide this again right here. And my line back here. There is my finished piece for that. Now I can also include some of the shattered pieces from here. I'm going to leave it like this because you can fill it in however you want, or you can leave it just like this if you would rather. So I'm going to put a few triangle pieces. Remember the first ones, the big ones, then you'd be pointing to the place that they're coming off of. And so here I've added the shattered pieces right here. Remember they're triangle shaped. You have some small ones, some big ones. Doesn't matter. Some of them can be over the actual animal. And then we can make him look a little more realistic. Okay, so there's the cat, and I've erased all the contour lines and drawn him a little more realistic. You can add color to this, whatever you want. And again, for the 7th and 8th graders, we're going to go through here and put a little charcoal shading in on. Okay, so to start some shading on this, we can get a little bit of the charcoal dust on here, so you can use your charcoal piece. Get some dust, use your Q-tip. We're going to come over here and start in the darkest place, and then we're going to spread out from that. You're going to just very lightly touch, kind of move in the direction of your object. So here's another dark area. So we'll start there. And it's also kind of cool to come in over here where your actual shapes are. Put a little shading right there. Now I'm kind of running out, so I'm going to go get a little bit more. Let me find somewhere dark to start this, so I'll come up here. Get some of it off, and I can continue. So it looks kind of, gives it a neat little look there. Put some shading on the nose. Now when you're almost running out, it's not really showing up anymore. That's a good time to do some of the fine detail shading where you don't want it very prominent. Right here, his eyes. Just to get it around. Okay, so we have some of our shading done. Okay, so now you can come in with your eraser, okay, and clean up any of these areas. And if you got, out of lines any, you can kind of clean that up with your eraser also. And we can do the same thing up here. Okay, so there's some basic shading for both of the cats, and some of the basic principles for doing some geometric art on the other half. So I hope you had a good time with this, and play around with it a little bit if you want to, and if you have any questions you can comment or you can send me a text. Thanks. Bye.